I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Filled with the Holy Ghost I am. All my sins are washed away. I've been redeemed. And that's not all. There's more besides. And that's not all. There's more besides. And that's not all. There's more besides. I've been to the river. I've been baptized. All my sins are washed away. I've been redeemed.
All right. Welcome everybody to our show. Have you ever started off your week? Oh my God. I sure hope this week is better than last week. I once heard someone say, I don't hope I play it. And then someone else said, long time ago, the best way to play still well, let's tell you
all my sins been washed
and
away.
where does God fit in?
The devil
Can
and
we
me,
have both?
we
Can we
both
plan
agree.
for the best possible scenario
Devil
and
and
still
me,
put our
we
hope
both
in
agree.
God? Well,
Devil and me, we both agree. I hate him and he hates me. All my sins been washed away. I've been redeemed.
Woo! Woo! Sandy, I've been redeemed
Amen. So have I.
by the blood of the Lamb. Filled with the Holy Ghost I am. All my sins are washed away. I've been redeemed.
Well, hallelujah.
I'm happy. I'm happy about that. How about you?
I
you
am
happy?
too.
Are you happy
I am too.
that I'm redeemed?
I'm yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So how's your- go
you
ahead.
Look better than you did a while ago. I mean, you don't look bad. You look the same. It's not. You don't look bad. I'm just saying. Before, all I got was a frame every once in a while. So.
John said that he didn't turn off the computer before he started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I did just wake him up. I did just get him up. He went on to bed. Well, I got rudely awakened at 1:30 this morning.
Rudely.
Because this cat, this one right here, the 16-plus-year-old cat, threw up all over me in my bed.
So
So I got up, took the sheet off, took all the sheets off, put them in the kitchen. I was like, well, I'm not going to go to bed till 3:00. I just might as well go to the gym now.
Oh my gosh.
So I did, and then got back, and then I took a nap when I got back.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So my morning's been interesting, to say the least. And then we took the trip to see my mom's cousin, so my second cousin or however that works, because they're our age. And it was good seeing everybody. But Stan, we need to be praying.
Yeah.
I think he's like 6'4", 110 pounds, 120 maybe.
Wow.
There's nothing. Yeah, my family's tall.
Yeah.
I have a tall family, but he's hunched over too. So, anyway, so sweet. He tried to do his best, but to talk, he was, anyway, he did his best to just be out there with everybody and me. And so he's got 3 brothers, and they're just all good people. When I visit with them, it's like I'm visiting with somebody here in the Panhandle of Texas. They're just good people, and it's beautiful there in Scottsbluff. It's gorgeous. It was hot, just like it has been here, 100 plus, 109, 108. I mean, it's the same weather. Yeah, we've been having the same thing here in Amarillo. So anyway, it was wonderful visiting with them. And then I saw my aunt too. My aunt came across so she could see him. In fact, she was the catalyst. She said, because we want to see if y'all would choose to take him home. We want to see you while you're alive, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so she's the one that called. She said, Sandy, I know this is last minute, but I want to see him now. And she said, are you going to go? And I said, yeah, are you going to go? And I said, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was just good. It was good. It was quick, but it was great visiting with all of them, visiting with Stan. I still don't think we got enough time, but we got some time. And then last time I was there 2 years ago, he sent me with a box of pictures to digitize. He sent me with 2 large boxes this time. So, which is okay. That's okay. Anyway, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. We need to pray. He needs a miracle. So
yep. That's it. Yep.
And we serve a miracle working God. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, you're safely back home, and life goes on, for all of us.
Getting ready to leave again, though, because our annual trip is coming up. Not this weekend, but I didn't realize it was here so quickly. I'm not ready. Anyway, that's a whole other.
Will you be here for next week for the show?
No.
Okay.
I had to think about it. What day am I driving? And by the way, I drove the whole trip to and from. So.
You did?
I've been doing that a lot lately.
Wow.
So John can work. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me mark
I did the last one
here. No. Okay.
So it'll be the next 2 weeks that I'll be out.
Oh, 2 weeks. Okay. Let's see. Got the calendar here. Got the old desk calendar right here. So that when you're 71 going on 72, this is a great memory.
Well, I take notes on everything, and if I don't, I'm like, if I go put something in a place that I think I'll remember, guess what?
Okay, let's see. I have 4 papers of notes here, a notes there, a notebook here. So, people, getting old is wonderful. It's just wonderful. You just have to acclimate into it. Is all there is to it. So anyway, I'm doing pretty good for 71, I think.
I think you're amazing, Mr. Smith.
I am amazing. I feed off of everybody. That's what it is. So Sandy, let me ask you this. I know you homeschool your grandkids, right? And
yes.
Do you have a particular homeschooling curriculum that you use?
I have a base.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I have a video of some new curriculum you might want to incorporate into your teachings. I'm not ready here. Let me do this real quick. Share screen. Let's go up to, I'm going to do this, a whole bunch of stuff here. But turn sound on. Okay. Here's a video for you to watch, and let me see here what we got. Let me make sure I get it up on the screen and add the stage. There we go. Hey, looky there.
Well, this fall, Minnesota Public Schools will reportedly debut these new transgender dolls for children as young as 4 years old. Get this, they have removable private parts that are included with the dolls.
The dolls have gender-neutral names like Sam and Rory and are part of a tax-funded program called My Gender Dolls, launched by the University of Minnesota's medical school professors.
Our next guest points out there was no vote on this by parents who were left in the dark. Moms for America President Kimberly Fletcher joins us now. Good morning, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us. What do you say about this?
I think that the first thing that we should notice is that in your story itself, you have to have big X's covering those genitalias, but they're going to be shoving it in our children's schools at 4 years old. Why can we not show it on public TV, but we call it curriculum and throw it on our children? These kids are 4, 6, 7. They're learning to tie their shoes, share crayons. They're not ready for these kinds of conversations.
Of course not. Kimberly, this is robbing these children of their innocence. And I guarantee there's not a lot of parents, maybe there'll be a few who find out and opt out, but this was all meant to be done under the table without parents, because no parents, left or right, really want this. Only crazy parents do. Let's talk about the medical school professors who are behind this, because that's troubling in and of itself when you have medical professors who don't understand biological reality. And why are they pushing this on the schools?
Well, I wonder how many of them actually don't understand the actual science of it, and how many are just pushing an agenda for money. And it's really always comes down to the money. And infusing these ideas into children at a young age to confuse them. And if you start to follow the money, I mean, this was put in a campus, a college university for 5 years. And I will say that there's some completely incompatible with education. The people who are called educators who are putting this together, hiding it in a university, and then slipping it into the schools. And if it is for us out there looking for this stuff all the time, then parents wouldn't know. There's no opt-out, and I think they need to start requiring opt-in. If you think that my children at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old should see this, should be playing with genitalia, should be groomed for sex, then you come and tell me, and I'll decide whether or not I want them to do that. Of course, you're right. No matter what. I should have this.
You make a really important point about the amount of money that is involved in all of this transgender stuff. All these people are driven by money as well as ideology, but also money. But stop for a minute, and you've been very successful at organizing parents and getting things done. If you're a parent in Minnesota, if you're a parent of a school where this is going on, it is so frustrating because you feel absolutely powerless. Because in the first place, you can't even believe this is an actual real story. It is a real story. Talk to parents. Explain how they can organize, what they need to do in order to confront the demons that push this stuff.
First thing is that then you need to realize it is a true story. When the whole furries came out, I thought it was a Babylon Beast hit. I mean, the kind of craziness that they're pushing on our children. So parents are confused, they're upset, and they're like, what do we do? Well, you need to go to the school board meetings, absolutely. You need to talk to the teacher. And you need to start speaking out in every media outlet that you possibly have in your local community and continue to expose this. And the most important thing is unite with other parents. Share this information with them because they're not getting the information. They're not knowing that this is going on. And they won't believe it. So you're going to have to take a picture and say, I'm sorry, this is it right here. Real story. Yeah. And then gather together and start fighting back by speaking out.
And hold the picture up at the school board meeting and watch them tell you you're not allowed to show it.
And you've got access over to genitalia. And we've had this happen so many times where we come and we start to read the books or we show the pictures and they call the police and say, you can't do that here. I'm like, really? But you're going to put it in a classroom in front of an innocent child. I don't think so.
It's just preposterous, Kimberly. I mean, parents do not give 4-year-olds an option because they're saying they're doing this for options, whether they're going to have chicken tenders or Oreos for dinner. Why they would give them gender options is beyond me. We'll continue to follow this. Kimberly Fletcher, thank you for joining.
So.
That's disgusting.
So.
I would not.
The world we live in, Sandy. The world we live in.
Okay, but you opened this can of worms. So now I'm going to say a few things too. Number one, my 8-year-old, I wouldn't let touch that. But our children need to be protected. It is our job as parents, and it's our job to make sure they receive a quality education. Folks, if your grandchildren or children are in public school, you need to pull them out. That's my opinion. But if you look at curriculum now that they're pushing, they've changed history. So the founding fathers are now the bad guys and the good guys are the everything else. They've manipulated. They have this sex education for a 4-year-old. My 8-year-old doesn't know about all this stuff and she doesn't need to. And you, okay, I'm going to read you these. I pulled this up while this was going on. It says there are about 3.408 million homeschool students, and that's in 24. I've heard it's increased drastically. It's up from 2.5 million in 2019. And it's estimated that 6.262% of the school age population is homeschooled. Now, I hear from people, well, I've seen homeschoolers or teachers and they just do, but the reason you're seeing these are, okay, some people quote unquote homeschool when their kids are in trouble in school and they're uncontrollable and they get kicked out. So they homeschool. Well, those kids never were homeschooled. And so you cannot compare the bad kids or the bad stats to those that are coming back in that were never homeschooled. You have to compare it to those that are. Homeschooled children are better. They are better educated. They actually know true history. They're better behaved. They are better socialized because they socialize with all age groups. And let me tell you something, they have a better attitude when those kids get around other kids with an attitude, which is pretty much anybody in school now, because my sister as a public school teacher says that teachers don't run anything. It's the parents. You're not allowed to flunk the children. You're not allowed to give the children homework. You're not allowed, and you can name it all. You're not allowed to do that in public school anymore. Folks, why do you have your children in public school? Yeah, I will say this. I have a job. I have a full-time job and I'm homeschooling my grandchildren and it is hard. And there are moments I'm like, I can't, but I can do all things through Messiah. But here's the biggest question. Are your grandchildren and your children worth it? Because you are responsible to guard their minds and their hearts and raise them up in the knowledge of God, of Yahweh, or of Yeshua. You are responsible to protect them and guard the gate. When you put them in this school, the government owns your children. They put in them what they desire to really get from them, this mindless, liberal, backwards, non-believing child that comes out of the system. And that's why we see so many of these Christian or even Hebrew roots kids go into college and they lose it because they're not grounded still. We've done a bad job. Am I a great, perfect homeschool grandma? No, I'm not. But I'm doing my very best. And to me, in fact, my aunt that I saw this weekend used to be a teacher. And so did my grandmother in the public school system. And she said, Sandy, I'm concerned you just need to put your grandchildren just need to go back to school. She said, you are wearing yourself thin. And I am, but I cannot put my grandchildren in the arms of Baal, which is what this country and the government schools are, and be sacrificed because their minds, their future and everything else will be compromised and are compromised through our government school system. And this is just the beginning, guys. I've told you before, even in this conservative area, they've gone through and had the kids worship all the gods except the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They've had to bow down and pray to trees. They've had to do all of this stuff. They don't want you necessarily to know this. And unless you're active, if you just go on thinking everything's okay, you're just ignorant. That's all I'm going to say. And yeah, I'm pretty straightforward on this, but I am really tired of seeing the generations that are rising up to lead this country that are completely brainwashed and gaslighted because they've been in the public school system with parents who have been asleep at the wheel because they think it's all good and taken care of. And they just don't have time because you're too stuck on yourself and your agenda. Yeah, it's sacrifice, it's time, it takes away all your time. It does. Is it worth it? Well, I will say this. I got frustrated with Amariah yesterday, and I said, Amariah, I said, unless you are more respectful, I said, I'm not going to continue down this path in this way. Sandi, please, don't send me to public school. I promise I will say yes, ma'am.
Wow. I love it.
So yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this, and some would say, even maybe they'd say I was mean the way I spoke. I don't care, because it's lives on the
Whatever.
line.
Yeah. We homeschooled our daughter, and she's a youth pastor now of a Messianic congregation. It's and look at your son, great man. So
And he was
you know
homeschooled.
it's you just got to do it right is all there is to it. What's crazy to me is for thousands of years, we have not had gender dolls. For thousands of years, and I think we're doing pretty good. I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of screwed up, but go ahead.
Well, okay. First off, they tell you you're not supposed to tell your child their sex. And then they have these gender neutral, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And when your kids are in school, we have such a large statistic because the schools wants to cause them to question who they even are. First off, according to the schools, you're descended from apes or whatever else over billions of years. Okay, so I'm from an ape. And are you really a girl? Are you really a boy? And so you have so many kids coming out now, not like it used to be, because they are pushed into these ideas of maybe I'm not who I think I am, and maybe this is normal, and maybe this is abnormal. And those that stand for the truth are called evil. That's what's taught in our school system. And you said for thousands of years. Well, guess what else? I know I was watching the new Little House on the Prairie series from Netflix. Yeah, that's sort of my speed. But they were talking about, homeschooling. Well, we teach them at home, et cetera, et cetera. And I was a teacher and I'm teaching them home. And I'm like, guys, this used to be the norm, but we have lazy parents. And it costs, you have to spend money. You do, because you have to buy the books and buy what's needed, and you get it for free the other place. But I'm going to ask this question. Is anything that's free really free?
Yeah. No.
Are you going to pay the price somewhere?
Only from God is anything free. Well, of course it costs us, but it's still free. Here's a question for you. You brought up the fact that they say that we descend from apes. Have they determined how many genders there are with apes? Do apes have 67 genders or 80 of or whatever?
Or let's go even further back, the amoeba, because ultimately they say, there was a goo, and then this amoeba came out, and the amoeba eventually changed. Yeah. Right. And you don't.
I'm just picturing a riverbank where all these amoebas come crawling up, and there's like 67 of them. And they're crawling up, and they're turning into humans, and you have all these different kinds of, and so that's weird. Maybe that's where this all comes from. Is, the amoebas, and then the apes. So anyway.
And folks, if you think we don't know what we're talking about because we said amoebas, we know that lie has a whole bunch of steps in between. We get that.
That's right.
So, but we are making fun of stupidity and idiocy, and that's what that is.
It is. It really is. And there's a difference between being stupid and ignorant. Okay? We're not calling people stupid. You're ignorant if you just haven't searched this out to get the full story. And that's what makes a person ignorant, is they haven't gone to the steps of making sure things are right. And so that's all we're saying is that go search this out. Common sense. Oh my gosh, common sense. I saw a great interview with Elon Musk this past week, where she was this person that was interviewing him asked him about the far extreme right, and Elon's answer was, there is no such thing as far extreme right. Those people are normal. Those people are everyday people. And I mean, his interview was great.
Oh,
Really,
that's
really good.
wonderful.
He shut her down on so many different things. I'm surprised they finished.
Wow.
That. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so this is beyond crazy. It's just what it is. I want to thank Fox News for bringing to light these things. You will not find that story on CBS, ABC, NBC, or any of their affiliates. You will not find that story on there.
Okay. And you want to know why, folks? What was I listening to? Was it something to prepare for the show? Maybe it was this last week, the week before. And back 30 years ago, the news people were asked if the government paid them and it was up before Congress. It paid them to run certain stories and say certain things. And the guy said, I would like to answer that basically it's the smaller committee. I don't want to do that live. And they asked him several questions, which really added up to the same thing. Guess what, folks? If you're listening to those things, they're being paid to do the government talk. It's not conspiracy, it's fact. In fact, by their own admission or lack thereof, it shows the news you hear or don't hear it's all for gaslighting you, for setting the agenda of where your mind sets, for skipping the things they don't want you looking at closely, and to make you here we go, and I'm going to use your word there, the ignorant people, because you refuse to go check you check from other sources.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah. I won't listen to news from the mains because they're lies, they're truth, they're government manipulation by their own admission, and they're paid. These people are paid to do and report certain things certain ways.
Right.
The world we live in.
One other thing I want to bring note on that video we just watched is one of the Fox News anchors there mentioned in his statement about confronting the demons that are causing this. And I'm going to tell you what, that's another word you will never hear on those other networks. But if you search the archives and different shows they have on Fox News, a lot of them are Christian based, and almost all of the reporters and anchors and people, whenever you bring up God or you bring up something about God, they're right there with it. They acknowledge it and confront it. But to hear this guy actually use the word the demons, confront the demons that are causing this, my whole body is like, whoa, I stop, pause it. I want to relish this,
And just as a teaser, you might hear that word again today.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Real good. Well, I just had
good story.
I saw that story and it's like, I have,
but you know what? That's part of what we want to do is we want to get people informed, because many people aren't going to go into other sources. So we want to give them the truth straight between the eyes, so to speak.
That's fact, Jack. And if you missed what we just showed, you can go to our on-demand section there
and listen. You need to listen to it.
Yeah. Okay, on today's show, and please don't say not again. We're doing UAPs and UFOs. They're everywhere. Today I pretty much finished my part of the series with portals. I'm going through a portal. Anyway, and maybe more like outer dimensional territories, other dimensions outside of the one we reside in. Remember the show Outer Limits?
I know the name. I've never watched it.
That was kind of like Twilight Zone. And we're also going to talk about socialism. No, I'm not talking about how much time you spend on your social platforms. I'm talking about socialist platforms and socialist politicians in the United States. And so we're going to mention that a little bit here. And I want to show the different politicians, because if you are paying attention to the news, you'll notice these people constantly. And especially with midterm elections coming up, socialism is a huge issue right now in the United States. So, Sandy, let's get on with some UAPs. And I got a little report here. Let's see what we come up with. All right, we'll be right back. Enough of that. There we go. Sandy and I are gone. Ah! All right. If you've seen any of the past few episodes that Sandy and I have done here, you would have seen and heard our expose on UAPs, aka UFOs. Too many acronyms. Sandy and I are now going to take this to the next level. So let me add this to the stage. Here we go. And get my notes up here. Last week I laid out how the AARO works to determine whether or not a UAP sighting or video is evidence of extraterrestrial beings, activity, or technology. The AARO, or All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office's mission is to minimize technical and intelligence surprise by synchronizing identification, attribution, and mitigation of UAP in the vicinity of national security areas. The AARO vision is to effectively and efficiently detect, track, analyze, and manage anomalous detections and UAP via normalized and systematized with the DOW, Department of War, right here, the IC, the intelligence community, and civil business practices, all while adhering to the highest scientific and intelligence tradecraft standards with transparency and shared awareness. If you want to catch up on our previous segments on UAPs, I suggest you watch our last 3 episodes from the archive link of our network TV on our on-demand page, and there you can kind of see, go to on-demand, you can click on this is the world we live in, and then you can go over here to past episodes. That'll take you over here to our videos, and there they are. There's all our videos. So the only thing I want to add before Sandy comes up is that of portals, other dimensions outside the one we reside in, and how they are perceived. Just the word portals can connotate many different thoughts among many different people. When I think portals, I think of space portals, probably because I watch too many outer space movies. Though I know the truth behind these fantastic reports, I still am fascinated by how others perceive this phenomenon. For instance, the TV show Skinwalker Ranch on the History Channel. Every episode, you will see at least one new UAP. kind of portrays that they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Here is just a very short video to give you an idea of what this show, what they show on this show. Now watch this real close here. Now, the next thing you're going to see is a dot coming out, a white dot coming out of the sky. Now you notice how it just appeared. It didn't fly across the screen over here. It just appeared. Let me take that back and you'll see. Here we go. It just appeared out of the sky. That's what's considered a portal. And so, in other words, they just came out of one dimension, went into another dimension. Now, let's keep watching. You'll notice it looks like it goes back behind that mesa there. But in fact, as you'll see as it goes on, and this is all one film. This is not spliced in or anything. Notice here, it went back behind and now it came out of the mesa right there. Now watch. Once again, see it came out and it ends up right there. I kind of backed it up a second, but as you can see, I'm it did come back. It came out of there. So now this is what you can see. All kinds of things like this on the Skinwalker Ranch show. Those that like sci-fi movies would probably think of this as more like a portal fantasy, a man starting through a door or a gate into another dimension. Of course, there's always the complete off-the-wall movies that are based solely on a portal that is found behind a filing cabinet. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, Sandy, but there's a show called Being John Malkovich. And in the movie, the guy moves a file cabinet out of the way, and all of a sudden, there's a little door there. And so he opens the door and crawls in, and pretty soon he's in John Malkovich's house. So he's crawled through a portal. See? So I'm not recommending this movie. It's just so funny what they come up with anyway. However you think of portals, in a UAP research, they refer to alleged interdimensional gateways described in narratives as ufological theory. Ufological theory. While UAPs are officially defined by the U.S. Department of War as unidentified anomalous phenomena that may display behaviors beyond such technology, in ufology, something like that. Portal openings are described as alleged gateways allowing UAPs, entities, or craft, or even people to transit between dimensions, locations, or times. This idea is rooted in the interdimensional hypothesis, which suggests some phenomena are not conventional spacecraft, but manifestations of other planes of existence. Another TV show that is totally based on interdimensional, let's see, where are we at here? Add stage. Oh, I messed it up. There we go. Another one is a show called Fringe. And this show aired on Fox between 2008 2013, and the whole show was basically about interdimensions, how there's another dimension of what we're living in a whole nother dimension. And in this show, they were able to go back and forth in between two dimensions. Contact narratives across cultures often describe luminous beings, missing time, and impossible physics. Patterns also seen in modern UAP reports. One of the most famous public speculative portals is called the Bermuda Triangle, a loosely defined region in the North Atlantic Ocean. A little bit here, let me make that a little bit bigger. Excuse me. Famous for alleged disappearances of ships and aircraft, but scientific investigations attribute these events to natural causes and human error. The Bermuda Triangle, also called the Devil's Triangle, and is generally described as a triangular area of the western North Atlantic Ocean near Miami, Florida, Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. Its total area is estimated between 500,000 and 1.5 million square miles. That's like from 500 to 3 times as much, though exact boundaries vary depending on the source. The U.S. Board of Geographical Names does not officially recognize it, and no formal maps delineate its limits. You can find out more at AARP, while portals are a speculative narrative based on concept in ufology. I love that word. UAPs are a formal data-driven category in U.S. government reporting. Some researchers see portal-like phenomenon as a possible explanation for certain UAP behaviors. But the Department of War's AARO emphasizes data collection and analysis before drawing conclusions. Listen, to us common folks who, when the word portal is mentioned in passing, our memory might bring up more of a picture of concrete portals. These are like portals they use to make ditches and runoff, water runoffs and stuff like those. Those are portals too. Rather than UAPs or UFOs, in short, portals are a theoretical or anecdotal explanation in UAP research, while UAPs are the official term for anomalous aerial phenomena under U.S. government review. Both are studied, but one is speculative and the other is part of a structured evidence-based process. So you can find out more at aaro.mil and www.hangar1publishing.com. So there you go. Let me tell you what, portals. Oh my gosh, can't we just all get along and look at portals and pass through it, and we'll be in another dimension, and Sandy, you'll be in one dimension and I'll be waving at you from another dimension. And if only we could find a portal somewhere. If only we could find a portal.
We need to remember that portal and gateway and those things are the same thing. In fact, the word talks about portals all the time. In fact, if you listen to Halisa, she even talks about heaven just chest high. It's dimensional. You're crossing another dimension. So since you jumped there, if you're ready for me, I'll jump in.
You got it, girl. It's
Genesis. Okay. So portals, gateways, are they biblical? Oh, Yes, they are. Genesis 28:12. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of Yah were ascending and descending. This describes Jacob's dream, and the ladder is between heaven and earth. It reminds us that there's unseen realms. There are dimensions. Let's go a little further. 2 Kings 2:11. And as they still went on and talked, behold, chariots of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them. And Elijah went up in a whirlwind of heaven. Portal. And after 6 days, Yeshua took with him Peter, James, and John, his brother. He led him to the high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, there appeared to them Moshe and Elijah talking with them. Sounds like a portal. Acts 7:55-56. But he, full of the Holy Spirit, gazed into heaven and saw the glory of Yah, of God, and Yeshua standing at the right hand of God. And he said, behold, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand. 2 Chronicles 3:1. Then Solomon began to build the house of the Lord in Jerusalem and on Mount Moriah, where the Lord had appeared to David, his father, at the place that David had appointed on the threshing floor of Ornan, the Jebusite. So this highlights the significance that there's certain physical places that are like gateways, that are like portals where Yah's presence can be sought and experienced. Can we have it other places too? Absolutely. But there are certain places where we keep seeing our patriarchs and others throughout Scripture revisit. Mount Moriah is one in Jerusalem. Bet El. We can go on from there. Mount Sinai. We can go on from there. And those mountains, isn't it interesting? Mountains. Anyway, we're not teaching that today. But Revelation 4:1. After this, I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice, which I had heard speaking to me like a trumpet, said, come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this. Okay. So who has authority to the open doors? Of course, it's Yah. Hebrews 10:19-22. Therefore, brothers, since we have confidence to enter the holy place by the blood of Yeshua, by the new and living way that he opened for us through a curtain that is through his flesh, and since we have great priest over the house of Yah, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith. Again, the redemptive work of our Messiah. And then when Moshe, Exodus 33:9-11, when Moshe entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stand out at the entrance of the tent, and the Lord would speak with Moses. And when all the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, all the people would rise up and worship, each at his tent door. Thus Yehovah said to speak to Moshe face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. I'll give you one more. There's a lot more, but I'm going to give you one more. Isaiah 6:1. In the year of King Uzziah died, I saw Yehovah sitting upon a throne high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Where was the temple again? Okay. See, this reveals one more time that Yah can open up those portals. We even know that Yeshua said, I'm the door. Oh, he's the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and go find green pasture. So that's just looking at a few examples of portals that are in the word. But I'm also going to talk about, are we dealing with portals, other dimensions, gateways? Are we dealing with space? Again, we've said before, the Bible's not very specific on that, all of that. So yay or nay, either way. But let's look at what we've seen in history, because Yah created this people for this planet, for this time, to experience certain things. So now I want to also relate today, as I speak on dimensions and what we've seen in Scripture, I want you to also put together that there is a tie between aliens and the occult. So let's just look at some key figures that weren't just rocket engineers. Their title went well beyond that. And because they were mystics, they were dreamers, and even self-proclaimed magicians. So I'm just going to name a couple. You can do your research. There's more. But Jack Parsons, who is the guy who helped invent the solid fuel rocket, Parsons was not just a scientist, but he was a Thelemite, which is a follower of, guess who it is? Aleister Crowley, and his philosophy. He recited poetry to ancient gods during the rocket test. Wow, that should start telling you now where some of this stuff based. And he said that citing these poetries to these ancient gods, quote unquote, I would say demons, genuinely helped him do his work. And then you have the Soviet philosopher Nikolai Fedorov, and he has his own take because he said that solving humanity's biggest problems, and here's the quote, like death, required both science and spiritual transformation. He saw the space race exploration as what? He saw it as a key to immortality. So they have this belief that reaching for the stars just it isn't technical, but it's transcendent. It's transcendent. So here we have this idea that science, the space race science, is in spirituality might not be separate things. So what side of spirituality were we talking about? Well, I just talked to you through the word that the word does show dimensional things, portals and gateways. We see that very clearly, but they're from Yah. But do we not see the enemy always counterfeit everything Yah does? And the answer is yes, we do. So let's talk a little bit more about this. I'm going to come backwards and go back a little now. I'm going to go forward because how long have there been, quote, accounts of aliens? Well, I will say it really didn't get big until after 1947. That's when the big push of all of this came. Now, I want you to think of the billions and billions of people that have lived throughout the years and since the beginning of time and say, shouldn't there even be more than we've actually seen? Maybe so. But here are some ancient records of accounts of aliens because there's an Egyptian account that speaks of a star that came down to set fire to Pharaoh's adversaries. And he said there were circles of fire and fish that fell down from the sky. There's a Roman account that describes ships like, now think of ships at their time. Don't think of ships in our time. Think of ships back in the Roman days and what they look like. But they said there was gleaming in the sky. Another record from Rome speaks of a spark from a star that grew into the size and became a torch. Another one speaks of a flame like wine jars from the sky. So here we see this fire, fire. And then there's an Irish account that 8th century speak of ships in the sky. One more time, I want you to think of ships the way they were, not as they are now, because they would have no concept of that. And then in Nuremberg, or residents in Nuremberg in the 16th century speak of seeing an aerial battle and a black spear in the sky. Okay, so there's some of the pre-WW2 ideas of alien spacecraft. Now, I want to jump forward a little bit because in 1947, everything that started it all, the private pilot Kenneth Arnold, he was moving at his craft at speeds, and what he saw actually gave birth to this flying saucer idea. And that sighting set forth this craze. And what he actually said he saw it skip. Okay, it wasn't a flying. He didn't see a saucer itself. He said it was like a saucer skipping through water. And the media took saucer and went with it. And all of a sudden, this whole idea of flying saucers came into being. And it was a mistake because that's not what he said. Anyway, we're going to get to that a little bit more. But there's also Roswell. So you've got the Roswell incident in there. We've talked about it, but it's supposed to be a weather balloon. Then one guy said, no, it was something else. And they said, no, it was a weather balloon because they were detecting Soviet, they were looking for Soviet nuclear weapons or something along that line. And the wreckage that they found consisted of rubber and tinfoil and some things like that. Not real sophisticated stuff. But again, am I saying that there's not truth to it? No, I'm not. But when you look at everything else and you're comparing it to the word, let's just put it out there and let's just see. Because UFOs and extraterrestrials, because they're a part of our culture now. And we can all pretty much describe them. The most common alien, what does it look like? It's sort of gray with big head, little eyes, no lips, maybe no nose, maybe a little bit of nose. And you see that across the board. You even see it in the movies Signs. You see it in Spielberg movies. You see it through all sorts of things, this idea of these aliens. Now, that picture that Mark actually is showing you right now is what Aleister Crowley drew in 1917 or so. This is the first time this kind of thing was ever seen. And he, Aleister Crowley, he's the big Satan guy. His parents called him the Beast. He's from a household of pastors, or his dad was a pastor, but he was a Satanist and did all sorts of horrible, horrible, horrible things, nasty, occult, satanic, sexual things. But he would communicate with this being, and this being said he was like the gatekeeper for other dimensions. And this brought out there, isn't it interesting? So we have this another connection with the occult and Aleister Crowley and these idea of aliens. And this is the thing that began it all. Now, does it look like this all over? No, this is the US. This is this part of the country's thought, or the world's thought, on what an alien looks like. But isn't it interesting that it all started when he was communicating with demons and Satan himself? And this guy said, I am the gatekeeper. Does this not bring it into a more spiritual context? Maybe not alien like we think. Something to think about. We may revisit that. So what does the Bible say? Does the Bible have the possibility of Earth and UFOs? It doesn't really talk about it. But what the Bible's focus is, the word's focus is clearly here on Earth. So think about ancient reports. As we've said, we know that there is another realm. There is the natural and the supernatural. We here on Earth live in the natural, but we serve a supernatural Yah. And there are things going where our eyes are actually veiled. If we could see what was going on, it'd probably really freak us out. So maybe it's a gift that there's not, but there is a supernatural realm. And just there's the angelic, there's the good, there's the evil, all with agendas. So that evil, Yah and his beings, the angelic, which are, by the way, not of this world, so they would be alien, so to speak. The enemy has his aliens as well. Again, I'm not saying there's not life out there, but this is what we are dealing with here on this planet at the very least. And though we have these experiences, this occult activity, witchcraft, which is also what Aleister Crowley was involved in, some of it ties together, but it's filling the consciousness of Americans. Americans right now, or the world is, well, at least Western society is looking for the supernatural power, but they're not doing it through Yah himself. Let's go as far back as 1939. Superman, alien being, right? Sort of a different sort of alien than we would see now, but alien nonetheless. And he's the superhero. He's the strong man. He's good. And anyway, all the phenomenon out there, think about shooting stars and fireballs and meteorites and all that sorts of stuff that's out there. And maybe there are optical illusions, because our brain adjusts to fill in the gaps of what we're thinking about, what we've seen, and what we've been exposed to. What's the common thought? So I want you to understand that. That's why there was no reports of flying saucers before this guy said it skipped like a saucer across water. And so that thought was taken. And then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of calls come through. Oh, I saw one too. I saw one too. But there was nothing before then. Isn't that interesting? What our brain does and how it affects us, our brain and our belief, what we have in our mind, what we're wombing in our mind is going to come out. And the enemy, depending on what side we're playing on, is going to use it either to skew us one way or to another. Let's think about H.G. Wells. Okay, H.G. Wells wrote a novel. Well, what happened? Orson Welles made a radio broadcast. We've mentioned it before, The War of the Worlds. And he did it like a news report. And guess what? Eyewitness accounts and calls to police stations started coming in immediately. Isn't it interesting? There weren't any before his report. And then once his report was there, once immediately that was put in the mind, once immediately that was put in front, and this is 1938, folks, then all of a sudden it's everywhere. So one more time, that power of suggestion, that perception, that power is right there. And there's this perception bias and expectation that came about as a result of the War of the Worlds and the alien invasion. So that's the collective consciousness of Western civilization. because there weren't flying saucer reports until the pilot who reported seeing this object. And now everybody sees flying saucers. And all he said is the object makes motion like a saucer. Wow. Anyway, then you have Roswell with the U.S. Army, and it's conducting that secret operation called Project Mogul. And it was designed to detect that nuclear bomb of the Soviets. So now you have the Roswell event, and again, it brings it all to mind. So that's where people's minds are. And then all of a sudden it can run with, well, what if? But let's go back down to where the common alien type that people say they encounter, it's not exclusive, but the common that they say they encounter is connected to demonic activity. People are contacting the demonic realm. What do you think CERN is for? Another portal opener. We'll go there. Anyway, so we have these ideas that there are some things that can't be explained, but many other things we're dealing with what? We're possibly dealing with spiritual entities that are not good, right? So let's go back. The sons of Yah, the sons of God have relations. So we have angels, fallen angels have relations with women. It creates Nephilim. It creates the giant. Giants die. Their spirit has they're not like us. So they're not going to die like us because they're part supernatural, right? Extraterrestrial. Oh, not of this earth, however you want to say it. So their disembodied spirit tries to find a home. It's demonic. And we have this idea that, hey, but they're extraterrestrial, right? And they're biblical, and we can understand that. What we need to put together is that the Bible clearly talks about extraterrestrial beings, but they're not what we think they are. It's good versus evil. It's his kingdom versus Hasatan's kingdom. So if we put all this together, we've got to realize that some of our focus being on outside or what the common way says, all these beings coming from other planets, maybe there are, but I think we're dealing with activity that's dimensional, where portals have been opened. Okay, so let's think about this. Tell me what this sounds like, folks, because it's pretend like you don't know the word. And what would this account sound like? Let's go to Ezekiel 1. The 13th year, on the 5th day of the 4th month, while I was among the exiles at the Kavar River, the heavens were opened. Oh, heavens were open. Oh, portal. Oh, gateway, right? And I saw visions of God. On the 5th day of the month, which was during the 5th year of King Yochanan exile, the word of Yah came to the Cohen, Ezekiel son of Buzi, in the land of Kasdim by the Kavar River. The hand of Yehovah was on him, and I looked, and I saw a windy storm approaching from the north, and a huge cloud with flashing fire glowing brightly all around, the color of the gleaming amber from the fire within. Now think of Independence Day and other movies, how those things come in. There's clouds and fire, and they pierce the atmosphere like that, just like that. Inside there appeared to be 4 living creatures that looked like human beings, but each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight with feet like calves' hooves. They glittered like burnished bronze. Beneath their wings, they had human hands, and their 4 sides, the 4 of them, had faces and wings as follows. They touched one another with their wings. They did not turn when they moved, but with one moved straight forward. As the appearance of their faces, they had human faces each in front. Each of the 4 had a lion's face on the right, and each of the 4 had a bull's face on the left, and each of the 4 had an eagle's face towards the rear. Now, guys, am I describing something of this earth, or am I describing something from another dimension? Am I describing something extraterrestrial, not of this earth? Wow. Okay. If you saw that, what would you think? Oh, I just encountered an alien. Well, yeah, but it's not the kind of aliens you think. Anyway, it goes on to say, thus the appearance of the living creatures. With them, something looked like fiery coals burning the way torches do with the fire. Remember that fire that was commonplace even back in Rome, back in the day? Fire kept being a common thing that was seen. Were they seeing visions of aliens, or were they seeing spiritual things, even of the war between one kingdom and the other? I don't know. As I gazed at the living creatures, I saw wheels on the ground, one next to each of the 4 faces of the living creatures. All 4 wheels looked the same. The inner parts gleamed like beryl, and their structure seemed to be that of a wheel inside a wheel. And when they moved, they could go in any 4 directions without turning as they moved. Their rims were tall and fearsome because the rims of all 4 were full of eyes all around them. When the living creatures moved, the wheels moved along with them, and the creatures were lifted off the ground, and the wheels went with them. That goes on, folks. If you saw that, you would say, I just encountered, and you don't know the word, you would say, I just encountered aliens. It's from another planet, because it's wild. It's crazy, but it's spiritual. It's real. It's from the word. So what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with spiritual realities, this link between the spiritual reality. So UFO phenomenon was not related necessarily to interplanetary traveling beings, but interdimensionality. So it was like another dimensions breaking through and then disappearing, as Mark showed us earlier, from our dimension. So the UFO lore and aliens and extraterrestrials have been linked to the occult, as we started with. I talked to you about the 19th century occultists that spoke of beings that were seeking to guide humanity through channeling. Wow, that's a word that is a today word, right? Channeling. Anyway, so here's this correlation between UFO and alien encounters and the occult and witchcraft. And so you say, well, what about that? Well, let's look at Ephesians 2. It says, and you were dead in your offenses and sins in which you previously walked according to the course of the word, according to the prince of the power of the air. The prince of the power of the air. Who is that? Well, that's Hasatan, Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the powers, against the world forces or principalities of darkness, against the forces of evil in the heavenly places, or the heavenlies, or the skies. Think about that. So here, one more time, we're talking about heavenly realms. We're talking about interdimensional beings. We're talking about a war that we can't even fathom, but that is going on before us. So could it be that among these explained parts of all the reports, there's something spiritual to them and we just don't understand it? Maybe. Is the demonic realm related to fallen angels? Yeah, we've talked about that, because the aliens are described as we've talked about, and I just introduced you to what Aleister Crowley saw right there as a gatekeeper from the other world, a little gray man, right? Or big, some. And if you go to Norway and or Europe's aliens don't look like that. They look more Nordic, tall and big and redheaded or something. So again, it's perception bias. What do your aliens look like, right? But if you're dealing with the occult, if you're dealing with the satanic realm, then Hasatan is going to give you what's going to speak to you and what's going to move you one way or the other. So let's think about Hasatan. Let's think about Lucifer. What does his name mean? It means bearer of light. 2 Corinthians 11:14 says, for even Hasatan disguises himself as what? What does he disguise himself? An angel of light. So what are these objects that people see mostly talked about as light? Even what Mark showed us was light. Well, he's the angel of light, but is he a good? He was, but is he light? He disguises himself as light, but he is darkness. He is Hasatan, and so when you look at that, you think, well, what's he doing? Is he manipulating the light? Is he manipulating things to manipulate us? Oh, yeah. He wants to throw as many of us into his kingdom as he possibly can, so that we can question Yah, we can question our reality, we can question scripture or whatever it may be, so that he can gather in his horde of people. Now, I want to go to the seraphim. Now, you guys remember the seraphim, 6 wings. And those that talk about coming into contact with UFOs often talk about there's a smell of burning. So the angelic beings in scripture called seraphim think about that, because seraphim is actually burning ones, right? Now, in Hebrew, that name is so that linked is sort of linked to burning. Now, if there are fallen angels, could some of them be fallen seraphim? So we see a false, I mean, it's true burning, a burning smell, but it's coming from some of the angelic that fell, that are the fallen ones themselves. And they still maintain that burning smell, that sulfur smell. Because what's brimstone? Think about Sodom and Gomorrah that were destroyed by fire and brimstone. Brimstone means stones of burning. Okay. In many accounts of the UFO encounters, they describe that smell even of sulfur, that burning. And maybe that's, what is hell? Hell is supposed to be a lake of fire. So maybe that smell that they're smelling is the smell of judgment. It's the smell of hell itself when they encounter these quote unquote beings and they smell that burning smell. Now, we've talked about this before because researchers, not Christians, not Hebrew roots people, not Messianic, have had many accounts. And they say that the name of those hundreds who have had many accounts with these creatures have said when they say the name of Jesus, that everything immediately stops. Well, what does that describe? That describes a spiritual battle. And I will say, it's done deliverance under the name of Jesus and under the name of Yeshua. How much more powerful is the name of Yeshua, his real name, Yeshua HaMashiach? But it's true. I've seen demons flee at the name of Jesus. I've seen demons flee at the name of Yeshua. So it sort of brings back this idea that it's a spiritual, interdimensional portal sort of thing going on. So communication. By the way, the creature that Mark showed earlier, Aleister Crowley, he said his name was Lamb, L-A-M. L-A-M, that guy right there, the one Aleister Crowley saw. And Kenneth Grant described Lamb, said he was, which is one of Aleister Crowley's followers, he said that this guy is outside of space and time. Interdimensional, right? But I want you to remember the date. That's 1918. But this guy is that prototype of the aliens and the extraterrestrials and the UFO drivers. So it's a demonic spirit, guys. That's what it is. It's a demonic spirit that's guarding the demonic gateway, a gateway to hellish things. So maybe putting some of this together from this perspective is very important. If we're looking at it from the other perspective, I think we've also got to come about it with the word of Yah in all things. So anyway, I am going to just sort of bring it all together and say portals, aliens, demonic, occult. Yeah. So, all right, Mark.
Wow. Really good, Sandy. I mean, you covered a lot of things that I had never even thought of. You know, a lot of them I'm very familiar with, but you covered a lot of things. And I ended up writing about 3/4 of a page of notes here to go back with. So it's really interesting that we have been programmed by TV shows, news reports, movies, things like that, to look at aliens in a positive way. For instance, you mentioned War of the Worlds. Yeah, they were actually bad aliens coming down, you know, but they had actually referred to them as being here underground for centuries, waiting to come up out of the earth. But then we overcame them, you know. So hey, aliens bad, Earth good. We've come over it. But looking at, for instance, you mentioned Superman. Oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought of that. What a positive image of aliens. What a positive image. Also, for instance, the Avengers. You know, the Avengers, most of them are from Earth, but you have people like Thor that are from another planet. You know, so he's an alien to Earth, yet he comes here and he helps all the other guys on Earth to, you know, annihilate the aliens, you know, that kind of thing. Same thing with Transformers. originally Earth thought they were bad, but they came and helped us overcome other aliens and things. Excuse me, going on Earth. You said Aleister Crowley. Did you know the song Hotel California is based on his belief system or whatever like that? And it's interesting that it's been challenged for years that it is demonic or things like that, but they've always denied that. Well, you can enter, but you can never leave, that kind of stuff and all that. It's just, but Hotel California is one of the biggest hits of all time. There's that many people that listen to it and suck it in and become very positive towards that kind of thing. Let's see. Of course, this is the world we live in. Another thing is when a huge event happens, and I've been saying this for a while, like for instance, when we have a huge movement on the LGBT movement and stuff like that. See, I believe that demons are released and they come in and they cause these things to come out. All the stuff with the democratic things that are happening where they're evoking woke, as I like to say, I think it's demons being released real seriously. I can go over and over and over and over like that, but you are so dead on about the light. You notice that the video I showed of Skinwalker Ranch, where that point of light comes out of nowhere, out of a portal. It looks like it goes into the mesa and then out of the mesa and disappears again. So it's light. And every time you see a UAP video, what is it? It's like an orb of light. Let me put it over here. It's like I'm trying to get in. It's white. But it's light. That's what it is. And it's just a light they can't figure out. When God portrays light, it's God, And so just like you said, Lucifer comes as, that false light. And
That's
so
right.
every time you see one of these videos where you see that little pinpoint or an orb of light, there's no other place to go, than the false light. So anyway, just amazing, really good stuff there. So we're not going to get to our.
I'm sorry.
No, absolutely not. We'll pick up on socialism next week. We needed to get this out. And so I am going to make a special, I'm going to edit all our different segments out on this and make a special thing where I can put it out where people can watch all of our different segments as one segment about UFOs, UAPs.
I thought this would be a great ending to all of it. Just bringing it all together. So
incredibly good. All of this is really, really good. So people, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of this stuff. The best way to not be afraid of something is to learn about it. Learn, be intelligent about it. Be informed about these things. But most of all, take God's side. Don't take the fake light side. Take God's side in what the explanation could possibly be. There's nothing but hope in God. And when you think about aliens, there's nothing but fear. Except that Hollywood's trying to make it, acceptable. Well, there's another red flag for you. if Hollywood's trying to make something acceptable, that red flag. So yeah, very good, Sandy. I love every bit of it, and really appreciate everybody hanging with us. And I hope this has been very informative. Pretty soon, I'll put a notice out there and send a MailChimp out when I get all this edited. And appreciate y'all, real big time. But I would be amiss if I didn't play our outro here. So, Sandy, how many times have you and I been standing in the middle of a forest and talking about something? Forget the aliens, forget the spaceship. It's like, it's like something we do every day. We just go out in the forest and we stand there and talk to each other, and
then just get beat up.
Yeah. So,
but imagine if that was like Enoch, Enoch taking it that he got to see some really great stuff.
So really, I'm with it big time. All right, well, we got to go. Thanks everybody for being with us this week, and we'll see you next week. We had a lot of new stuff that we want to bring and let you know, and we hope you've enjoyed this show today. Our other ones, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, Sandy, have a great week, and I will too. And we'll see y'all next week. Oh no, you're not going to be here, right? Next week, and for 2 weeks.
Dos. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see you in 3 weeks.
There you go.
So enjoy the archives I put on, and we'll take it from there. God bless. Be safe, Sandy. Thank you.
Shalom.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all other live Lamb Show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell somebody about the Messianic Lamb Network.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.